Tonight's confession, here's my prediction. Matt will forgive, Mother Superior will not forgive, not sure about Sister Rebecca. Let's see what it says. It's from Mr. G. Thank you, Mr. G. Dear Father Simon and the Respectable Collective, my confession harks back to the early noughties, when I was just 13 years old, enjoying my well-earned school holiday. One Friday towards the end of our break, my best friend Bob and I got our hands on the brand new Championship Manager game. Do you just want to explain what that is, Matt?
It's a way of losing your life. I almost failed my degree because of it. It's basically you manage a team, and if they do well, you're on it forever.
It's a computer game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds exciting.
Got our hands on the brand new Championship Manager game, something that we'd been waiting many, many months for. Bob often had foreign students staying at his house. On this particular Friday, 2 new Belgian students had arrived, Nigel and Ollie. Ollie was very friendly and enjoyed talking about football with us, whilst Nigel just seemed to mock us for being so childish for playing computer games, with a series of underhand sniggers and rolls of the eyes. I'm not sure what an underhand snigger would look like or sound like. Anyway, that's what Nigel the Belgian got up to. The next morning, I was woken up by my match of the day alarm clock and immediately ran up to Bob's house to Mother Superior head in hands already, and immediately ran up to Bob's house to continue our pulsating debut season on Championship Manager. I knocked on the door, barely able to contain my joy and excitement about the day that lay ahead, when I was greeted by a very sombre Bob. He let me in, and there, sitting on one of our red spinny computer chairs with his feet up on the other, was Nigel the Belgian student. He'd begun his own season and had no intention of letting us play. Bob and I watched the hours tick past whilst Nigel enjoyed the season of playing on our game. Ollie offered to play a different game with us to try and stem the pure hatred that we now had for Nigel, but it was no use. Nothing could fill the void of playing Championship Manager. The next day it happened again. I ran up to Bob's house only to be greeted again with the Belgian Lex Luthor, grinning from ear to ear and continuing to wipe his big clowny feet over my red spinning chair. There you go. Shoes into the subject again. Needless to say, we had to take action, and it started like all good 13-year-olds do, by telling Bob's parents. After our discussion, Bob's mum went into the computer room, where somehow seconds before Nigel had managed to remove his feet from the chair and place that butter wouldn't melt in my mouth look on his face. "Nigel, can we share the computer, please? Why don't you and the boys take turns?" said Bob's mum. Nigel replied in broken English, "Well, we don't have to play the computer at home because, you see,
Is that your Jean-Claude Van Damme impression?
We don't have a computer at home.
We don't have the computers.
We don't have much money and spend time working for the family. Life is tough in Belgium. We are very poor. And your father smells of elderberries." It was clear to see that Bob's mum...
Not a Belgian accent. That's more like...
He was Walloon.
He was what?
Walloon.
What's Walloon?
As opposed to Flemish. It's half of Belgium.
Oh, okay.
Get with the times. It was clear to see that Bob's mum's heart had melted at the thought of this, because he was working so hard and all that. And even more obvious when she turned to us and said, "Come on, boys, it's only for a couple of days." We walked away from the computer to hear Nigel clear his throat, drawing attention to his clown feet that were back on the chair, and gave us what can only be described as a Ronaldo wink straight at us. Later that afternoon, we went into Bob's parents' room with Ollie to choose a board game to play. Kaplunk seemed the unanimous choice, but due to the size of the box, it had got lodged in the drawer. With one swift, satisfying yank, the box was free. But unfortunately, from the top shelf, Bob's mum's most treasured china plate came down a crashing and a kaplunking all over the place. All 3 of us looked down at the 27 pieces we counted of expensive china that were now scattered over the floor. We knew we were in big trouble. We cleared the mess up, put the board game away, and removed any evidence. 4 hours later, when we were watching a DVD, Bob and I were summoned by his mum, dragged downstairs and interrogated to see if we knew where the plate was. "No," we answered. "We've been downstairs watching the telly, but..." "But what?" said Bob's mum. "But we did see Nigel the Belgian looking for some instructions in the drawer earlier." Bob's mum marched down the stairs into the computer room at a considerable pace, greeted Nigel with a stern, take your feet off the chair look, which he obliged, and sat trying to put on a I've had a real hard life kind of face. "Have you been in my room?" she asked. "No," was the reply. Bob then tapped... So you can't really do much accent with one word, can you? No. Bob then tapped his mum on the shoulder and began whispering in her ear. I turned to Nigel, looked him in the eye and gave him my own Ronaldo wink. Bob's mum picked up Nigel's hoodie, and out of the front pocket fell roughly 27 pieces of the china plate in a carrier bag and the championship manager instructions. Nigel was immediately sent to his room and subsequently banned from the computer for the entire time that he was with us, and he got banned from the trip to the zoo. Myself, Bob and Ollie, on the other hand, had 5 long days playing championship manager before school started. I know you want to play championship manager when you get home.
Can't wait.
And so, Simon, I beg forgiveness from the collective, not for what we did to Nigel, but the anguish we caused Bob's mum after smashing her prize plate. And if Bob's mum is listening, we found out a few weeks later from a postcard that Nigel's family are in fact very wealthy and that he doesn't have to work every day because life is not tough in Belgium, as we all know. So he was lying. He was a barefaced Belgian. What do you say to that, Sister
Well,
Rebecca?
I was about to say, yeah, it depends on whether Nigel really was poor. If he had to wear clown shoes, it sounds like he was poor. But then you just tell me that, no, I know he had big feet. So he really was wealthy. So I think it was a bit of a stitch-up, though, to hide those broken pieces of plate in his pocket. But then, the fact that he was rich... I think I was on the fence. Well, that he
rich or not?
Well, he lied. He lied.
This is the kind of thing Matt's going to come up with in a moment.
Class war, here we go.
Barefaced lie, saying that he'd never played on a computer game before, therefore he should be able to monopolise it for the next few days. So I think, on reflection, Mr. G, you are forgiven.
So what do we get from Mother Superior?
Oh, don't get me starting. Match of the day clocks. He's probably got a little duvet with Nottingham Forest written all over it and a little pillow saying, Ronaldo. What is, by the way, Ronaldo wink? What is a Ronaldo wink?
It's a wink.
Yeah, but what is it?
It's a wink
It's
which
a
says...
wink.
I've
Has
just...
he got funny eyes or something?
No, it's saying, I've just got away with an outrageous thing and you didn't notice, referee.
Well, that's not necessarily Ronaldo wink. I think this was really rather mean. They're not silly little children like we had yesterday. They did know better to lie and to put somebody else into a position where they couldn't play a computer game for the rest of their time. So, as far as I'm concerned, you are definitely not forgiven.
Thought so, Brother Matthew.
It's worth saying that there are other football management games available other than Championship Manager, but I'm sure they're very happy with the number of mentions they've had so far.
Yes.
Well done. It is highly addictive, and I can testify to that. So I can understand why Nigel the Belgian was on for so long. What I can't understand is why he thinks it's all right to put his feet on the chair. What's that about? When you're in someone else's house, putting your feet on the chair, I would go spare.
They're not
if that
brought
was
up properly.
my chair and he was in my house and he's putting his big clown feet on, I would go nuts. Belgian or not, rich or not, get your feet off my chair. So I am not going to forgive. No, I am going to forgive.
What?
I am forgiving because Nigel's Belgian and putting his feet on my chair.
Okay, the people's verdict, please. Do you forgive tonight's confession from Mr. G, 88291, sort of computer game-based confessions? I think that might work. Belgian confessions.
Yeah, definitely loads of Belgian confessions, please.
Walloon confessions.
Yes.
They'll
Nigel
work.
confessions.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. You can do it. You can go online, bbc.co.uk/radio 2, look for the drive time pages. You can send us your confession, or you can send us an email, confessions@bbc.co.uk. Thank you. People's verdict, due now.